We're talking with Kelly McCoy, Fairmount West class of 1981. Kelly joined the Fairmount West gymnastics team her senior year after 5 years as an elite gymnast in national and international competition as a member of the U.S. national team. In 1976, she was the state and regional champion, then won the Junior National Gymnastics Championship in Eugene, Oregon. In 1978, she placed fourth all around at the U.S. Senior National Gymnastics Championship. The next goal for Kelly was the 1980 Summer Olympics, scheduled to be held in Moscow. However, in November of 1979, Kelly broke her ankle, ending her Olympic dreams. She focused on her studies and ended up graduating from Fairmount West with a grade point average of 3.8. The U.S. Olympic team's loss, however, was Fairmount West's gain, as Kelly decided to compete for the Dragons her senior year. The Dragons had never finished higher than third at the state meet going into her senior year, and Kelly was the only senior competing for the Dragons that year. The team went undefeated going into the 1981 state meet, and what followed can only be described as one of the greatest individual performances by any Fairmount athlete in any sport. The Ohio State Gymnastics Championship meet was held at Otterbein College in March of 1981. Kelly was the state champion in the vault, the bars, and floor exercise. She was second on the beam and won the all-around award as the top female gymnast in Ohio. The team won the state championship with 198.25 points, which is still the sixth highest team total in state history. Kelly's score of 18.65 in floor X remains an Ohio High School Athletic Association record to this day. Her score of 72.05 in the all-around was broken by a half a point in 1987, and she still ranks second all time. After graduation, Kelly accepted a gymnastics scholarship to the University of Florida, where the Gators won the AIWA National Team Championship in 1982. She was a Southeast Conference champion in the vault in 1985, and she was a finalist for the NCAA Senior Gymnast of the Year. She graduated in 1985 with a degree in occupational therapy. Today she lives in Concord, North Carolina, where she works as an occupational therapist. She and her husband, Andy, have 3 sons and 1 daughter-in-law. Pretty good resume, Kelly.
Thank you.
At what point in your life did you realize that gymnastics was a passion?
I'd say probably when I was about 11, going on 12. I had switched from a YMCA program to a private club program called Twiggs Christian Gymnastics Club.
Still around.
Still around, absolutely. And I think at that point I knew I was probably going to be a one-sport gal. Yeah.
When did you start to believe that the Olympics were within reach for you?
Shortly after I won the national championships as a 12-year-old, I was invited to a national team camp and made a junior, like the junior national team, and started focusing on, you know, the elite level competition and being invited to some international competition. So yeah, then I could see 80 in my sights for sure. Ah.
Okay, how did you manage to keep up with your studies and everything else while putting in the tremendous amount of time that it took in practicing and preparing for the Olympics?
Yeah, a lot of time in the gym. You're right. There tended to be a bit of a clash there because I was leaving the gym, you know, at 9 o'clock, having to do do homework, etc. So my uncle Bob, who was in the Kettering school system,
Bob.
Right, he thought of an idea and presented it to the school board of allowing me to leave at noon and then heading to the gym from there. And how that worked was they waived me from having to do like PE and extracurriculars like home ec, that sort of a thing. And I did not have to go to study hall, so they cut that out. Then that left kind of one class, and then they arranged it so that I could take history in summer school. So I took history for 3 years during the summer, leading up until my senior year, and it worked out great. I left at noon, my mom picked me up, headed to the gym, was there 5-6 plus hours, and then got home, was able to eat dinner sometimes with the family, had time to do my homework and get to bed at a decent hour. Yeah, so it worked great. I did that from the 8th grade through my senior year.
Wow.
Yeah, or up until my senior year.
Right. Wow.
It was great. I was very, very fortunate. I mean, it was really that, or possibly move me to another program in Oregon or somewhere up east, possibly that, took gymnasts and housed them, and they went to school and, did gymnastics, and so it allowed me to stay here, stay at home with my family.
That was probably before Bella Caroli and Houston.
Yes, it was before. Yeah, before that. I think he came over like in the early '80s. So yeah.
So you were unbelievably busy. That had to take a lot of self-discipline and a lot of time management. So
it was to the exclusion of a lot of social life at the time and other things. It was, but it's kind of what I knew, and I just did. I enjoyed it, and my teammates were some of my best friends, and
well, that was your
it was my calling. I feel like God gave me the gift to be a gymnast, and I tried to use it to the best of my ability.
And you didn't have to look back and say, what if I'd have dedicated myself to this, because you did.
Yeah, I can't imagine doing any other sport, honestly. I think I was just made for it.
In the final analysis, the U.S. ended up boycotting the 1980 Summer Olympics in Moscow under President Jimmy Carter's directive in protest of the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan, as you well remember. Were you aware as you were training that this might be a possible outcome, or were you oblivious to all of that?
I was oblivious to that.
Didn't care about the politics?
Didn't have a clue. So I don't know if any others were aware of it, but I was not. It was a complete surprise to me. I'm not sure when that realization came. I assume it was after the trials.
Had to be a huge disappointment for all those kids that had dedicated their lives for getting ready to participate in those Olympics.
And I knew many of them.
And all of a sudden it's gone.
Stuck around for the next 4 years and made the '84 team. But yeah, very devastating.
There's a window of opportunity in a lot of sports.
That's right.
And you got that one Olympics that you trained for, and 4 years later is too late.
Right. So and for a female gymnast,
you got to feel bad for those kids. And
it was very unfortunate.
How'd you break your ankle?
I was training a very difficult beam dismount, and it was a round off to the end of the beam and a double back, 2 backward somersaults off the end, and I had practiced it in a training setup over and over and over again, and my coach said, ready to go onto the competition type floor. And so I was ready to go. It was at the end of a practice, and I went crooked on the takeoff off the beam, and I actually landed, one of my ankles landed off the edge of the crash, it was like an 8-inch mat I was landing on, and I just rolled my ankle and went forward, and I broke my talus. It's an intertarsal bone. It's not very easy to break.
Did you know
and it
right
doesn't
away?
Heal very fast because it doesn't have a lot of blood supply. I was in an incredible amount of pain, but I figured I probably broke something or really sprained something, and sure enough. Luckily I didn't have to have surgery on it. But
what was your mindset when you found out that the dream was over?
Well, I actually didn't think it was over right then and there. I just knew I wasn't going to be back for a while. So I was in a cast for at least 8 weeks, and then coming back from that. And I was waived through many of the qualifying meets due to my status in prior years to the U.S. Championships. And it was at that meet, and I wasn't quite back up to speed yet, but it was at that meet, ironically, I fell on a beam dismount, of course creating a lower overall score. And that year they took 16 to the Olympic trials as opposed to the normal 20, because they had a few girls compete that were really high level competing internationally that weren't unable to be at that championship. So they took 16 and I was 17th. So that was devastating.
Yeah.
I mean, by a fraction of a tenth also. So yeah,
wow.
that was very devastating, because 2 years prior I was 4th, and I feel like if I was in a prime condition, I would, you know, unless I'd had a really horrible meet, I would have made that team. I was right there. I should have made that team.
Had to be
So,
devastating.
It was. I live with it a lot when I think, you know, when I think about it. That was tough. That was a goal of mine.
When did you resign yourself to the fact that the Olympics are over and you decided to compete for Fairmont West?
I've been thinking about that recently as I've been going through the cobwebs 37 years ago. I can't remember the exact time, but, you know, not going to the Olympics and then knowing I was going to compete on a scholarship for college, you know, that left a large gap of time. And I did not want to go back and compete, you know, kind of on the elite international scene. I really was pretty burned out by then. I was hurting emotionally from not making the team, and you know, the thought of going into the gym day after day at the same pace, you know. So I guess I just thought, hey, you know, maybe I can compete for Fairmont. You know, that would be fun. Honestly, deep down, you know, I'd always want to be like a cheerleader or play softball or do other sports. I mean, I love gymnastics, but you know, you see folks at the school playing for their team, and you know how fun that is. And well,
showing up on
for
game
Fairmont.
day all dressed up and
yeah. I mean, you know, just the pride, and you know, to unselfishly, I didn't need the accolades of being a all-around champion or that sort of thing, but I thought, you know, if I could bring a championship back to my high school or help my team win a state championship, that would be awesome.
so you had to kind of refocus at that point.
Yeah, you know, it really wasn't about me. I really wanted to do something for my school. And after the Kettering school system had been so good to me, my teachers, the faculty, you know, the board allowing me to leave school, and I know in the 8th grade I missed probably a month of school when I went on an international trip one time. No problem. They were so cooperative, so helpful, so supportive, and I just really wanted to give back. You know,
that's good to hear.
I can't remember if I knew we would be a state contender or not, or you know, when I realized, hey, you know, we have a chance here. You know, I'm really not sure. I can't remember, but yeah, I mean, it was really out of just trying to give back.
So, it's your senior season for the Dragons. Talk about that season leading up to the state meet.
Well, it was a bit of a transition from the competition I had been in before. I was unable to do some of the gymnastics moves that I had done before. I mean, we'd gone from, you know, very high-tech spring floors to tumbling on a wrestling mat. You know, so there were just certain things.
Sure.
I had to water down some things, and but I was really able to do the same vault I had done and pretty much the same beam routine and all. So, you know, I stayed after school, you know, practice here with our teammates. Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of fun. I just remember it being a lot of fun. And our coach, Linda Burton, she was first time to Fairmont, so she was kind of new, and she was fun. There was just no pressure, which I enjoyed, just being able to just kind of let my hair down and relax and just really enjoy myself.
Just have fun with it.
It was just pure joy, pure fun, and you know, I remember, you know, the bus rides to the meets, you know, just, you know, not ever having experienced anything like that, just having a ball. So it was a great time. Okay,
so the team goes undefeated all the way through your meets up to the state meet, 1981 state meet. Talk about that state meet where you put on such a dominant performance.
Well, I think I just basically went out there and did what I normally tried to do every time, was to just compete my heart out and, you know, be on target, you know, do the best job I could. And, you know, fortunately the other girls too, because I couldn't win the state title, or, you know, the team title myself, obviously. I'm not sure how many, if it were 3 or 4 or 5 of the all-around girls that went into the team title, but, you know, everybody had to be on. So I think we all had a good meet. I do remember, you know, feeling a little pressure at that meet.
Really?
Yeah, you know, that was just, the stakes were a little higher, and I think I was, you know, kind of expected to win, and, you know, I should have.
Did you kind of enjoy that adrenaline rush?
Yes, I always enjoyed that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not big on getting up in front of people and speaking or doing that sort of thing, but out on the competition floor, yeah, I'm maybe a little different person there.
After competing on the national stage, you probably weren't too intimidated by being in the state high school meet, I'm guessing.
No, I mean, like I said, I did feel remember feeling a little pressure because you know, I wanted the team to do well, and I felt like a lot of that, you know, was in my hands and weighed on me. But you know, it was fun. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I mean, it was a real thrill to win that state title. That meant a lot, and especially to just bring that trophy back here to the school.
And you were the only senior?
Yeah, I'd forgotten about that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Talk about competing in college for the Florida Gators.
Well, that was a bit of a transition as well. You know, college sports is a whole different ball of wax. My coach in college did have a different philosophy than I had kind of been trained before, so that it was an adjustment for me, I would say. But I enjoyed it at the collegiate level as well. Probably my senior year in college was my best year. I don't know if it's maturity or just, you know, sort of refocusing some of my priorities. Just finally getting used to the whole college scene. Yeah,
what made you choose University of Florida?
Good question. I had offers from a lot of colleges.
Sure.
I guess it was the coach and her pitch to me, going down to Florida. That sounded awful glamorous. A lot of the
sound bad right now, does it?
No, I was being recruited at where, you know, some schools where it was cold, and I think I was ready to go far from home. I don't know. I think I was just itching to spread my wings and, you know, go someplace different. The program, you know, the school, the facility was absolutely gorgeous. So there was a lot of draw from that. I might have picked a better school in hindsight for me based on the way I competed and was trained before. But, you know, everything works for a reason, and, you know, I found the profession that I love there. And yeah, it was good. It was a good time.
You have 3 sons. What would you like your sons to know about Mom as an athlete?
Well, they're older. I've got one that's 25, 23, and 17, and they all did some athletics. And I just, you know, just stressed hard work. Hard work pays off. Never give up. We stress a lot of doing well in school, so really academics first, athletics close second. But you know, just to work, hard work always pays off. Enjoy what you do. Try to, you know, find some fun and enjoyment in it, and be a leader. Be a good teammate. Listen to your coach.
Kelly, this is a big weekend for you. You're a Hall of Famer, and a richly deserving one at that. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
I hope you have a great weekend.
Thank you very much.